So X was written and directed by Ty West, and it stars Brittany Snow, Jenna Ortega, Mia Goth, Kid Cudi, Martin Henderson, and it's about a group of people who work in the adult film industry in the 1970s who are shooting what may be the most artistic adult film ever made. And so they decided to go to this old couple's house where they film in their shed to film this adult film. But when the elderly couple finds out what they're doing, things get violent and things get really bad really fast for everybody. So this was a movie that I honestly had no idea what I was thinking about, I had no idea what I was expecting with this movie. I knew it was from A24, but it looked like it was a different type of movie from A24. A24 is known for movies like, Hereditary and The Witch and Midsommar and, The Lighthouse. And so this looked like it wasn't really a movie that they would do. It looks like something like along the lines of something like Scream, a slasher flick. And also, I wasn't really too sure about some of the things that were being presented in the trailer. So I went and saw this last week, actually. I've been so busy, I just haven't been able to do this video. But after thinking about it for a while, I will admit, I'm actually glad that I saw this movie. I think this movie is a lot of fun. I do think it is really interesting, and I do think that it's definitely a lot more artistic than I expected it to be. But that doesn't mean it's not fun. I do think it's a lot. I do think it's a lot of fun from the horror aspect, from the acting aspect. It's actually a really fun movie overall. So what works? Honestly, most of the performances in this movie are really good. Mia Goth plays two roles in this movie. She plays one of the actresses in the movie, and she also plays the elderly woman in this movie, which that was really good makeup on her. I thought did really good, like playing both roles. Also, Brittany Snow, where has she been? I remember her when I was like a teen and she was in movies like Hairspray. What happened to her? I thought she was really good. I thought she was really funny. Jenna Ortega, I thought was really good as this crew member for this film, but she doesn't want to be seen as a prude. I thought she was really good in this movie. Kid Cudi, I thought he had some funny lines in this movie. Glad he had a better role than he did in Don't Look Up. Owen Campbell, I thought he was all right. He did a good job. Martin Henderson, he's kind of creepy, kind of like this Matthew McConaughey type of person, a porn producer. And I thought he was really good for his performance as well. And honestly, I also really like the cinematography of this movie too. It looks like it's from that era, the 70s, like a grindhouse movie. I thought that was really interesting as well. And I also really like the fact that there were times when this movie was both really funny and really scary. Like there are times in this movie where I actually was kind of laughing like intentionally laughing. And there are genuine scares throughout this entire movie, like especially in the second half, like they kind of show in the trailers, like what the movie can't just change halfway through. I would say the movie basically is not a horror movie for the first half, which there's the A24 aspect right there. And when it does get scary, it can be pretty scary at times. It can be pretty creepy and can be very suspenseful. There are moments in this movie where I just had to look away. And there are some creative kills in this movie, some creative moments. And again, even though I kind of saw some of them coming, I also thought that I just needed to look away, and I was right, and I'll address that in a bit. And also, I also really like some of the themes that were addressed, like old versus new, and it's also because you have a group of young people, and you also have this elderly couple, but it's also kind of about the old style of filmmaking versus the new style of filmmaking. And I'm actually really intrigued that this movie actually did that. I think there are a lot of themes in this movie that work, not just that, but like redemption, about beliefs, and old versus new in that creative way. I thought it blended really nicely. And so, what were my problems with this movie? As I mentioned, some of the kills are pretty creative. Some of the kills are not. Some of them just kind of happen. It's like, oh, they're dead now. Well, okay then, that's fine, I guess. And like I mentioned, that some of the kills I kind of saw coming from a mile away, or some of the horror moments I saw coming from a mile away. Mainly it's because I've seen a movie before. I know where this is going, and I don't know if that was supposed to be like mockery, or like I don't know if it's supposed to be like, yeah, I don't know if like Ty West was thinking, yeah, you know where this is going, but I don't know. Maybe he could have, because of that whole new versus old style. But other than that, the only other problem I have with this movie is the police officers you kind of saw in the trailer. They don't add much to this movie at all. They kind of appear at the beginning and at the end, and it's just what you kind of saw in the trailers. It just is pointless throughout this movie. They could have been cut out from this movie entirely, and the movie would have been just fine. So X is a interesting movie. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of reminiscent of those 70s movies, 70s grindhouse horror movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The performance is really good. It can be really funny. It can be really scary. A lot of kills are creative. The themes are pretty interesting. Again, it's A24, so you kind of have to imagine that this movie's going to go places that you wouldn't expect for a horror movie. But again, half the kills are interesting, and if some of the characters were removed, it would have been a little bit better. But other than that, I do think X is worth your time. I will give it 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what was the last horror movie that really surprised you? Like, by how good it was? So, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.